I've always been the type of person who notices things, the creaks in the floorboards, the way the wind shifts when something's not right, the feeling that you're being watched, even when you're alone. A few months ago, my mum and I moved out of the city to this older Victorian house in the countryside. She said it would be quieter, safer, more peaceful. It is quieter. But peaceful? Not exactly. It's just the two of us now, and this house, it has a way of making you feel like there's someone else here. I'd hear footsteps upstairs when I was alone downstairs, or feel a presence lingering in the corner of my room at night. When I brought it up to my mum, she'd just smile and say I was adjusting. The house has character, she'd say. But there's one thing about this house that's always made me uncomfortable: the dolls. They weren't mine. They belonged to my mum, passed down from her grandmother to her mum, and finally to her. Porcelain faces, glassy eyes, perfect little dresses. She once told me that when she was little, she swore the dolls used to move. They'd be sitting on one shelf when she went to school, and on another when she got home. Sometimes they'd fall over. Sometimes they'd end up in places she didn't remember putting them. Her mum always said it was just her imagination. Still, I never liked them. They sat on a small shelf in my room, their glass eyes always watching. One day after school, I came home to a note on the kitchen counter. Had to work overtime at the hospital tonight. Left pizza money. Love you. That's when I felt it, that low, quiet fear tightening in my chest. My mum never worked nights, ever. I texted her, but she didn't answer. I grabbed the money and ordered pizza. While waiting, I sat on my bed and pulled out a couple sweaters, trying to decide what to wear tomorrow. I set them at the edge of the bed, next to the dolls. I remember glancing at them before leaving the room. They were sitting still, just like always. Pizza arrived. I brought it upstairs, got under my blanket and put on something light, a comedy special I'd seen a dozen times. I ate, laughed a little, then slowly drifted off to sleep. And then I woke up. The room was dark. My laptop screen had gone black. Everything was still, except for something faint, a voice, singing. It was distant, like it was coming from down the hall, a soft, eerie hum. I didn't recognize the tune. I sat up slowly. That's when I looked toward the foot of my bed, where I'd left the sweaters and the dolls. The sweaters were still there, but the dolls, they weren't sitting anymore. They were standing, all four of them, facing me. I screamed, I leapt out of bed and flicked on the light. Nothing moved, but the dolls, they were still upright. One of them had its hand raised, pointing. I backed out of the room and locked myself in the bathroom. I stayed there the rest of the night, clutching my phone. I tried calling my mum again and again, but it kept going to voicemail. Eventually, the singing stopped. The house went silent again. I must have fallen asleep leaning against the door. By morning, sunlight poured into the hallway. I walked back into my room, half expecting the dolls to still be standing. But they weren't. They were back on the shelf, sitting neatly, smiling. Later that morning, my mum came home. She looked exhausted. She poured herself some coffee like it was any other day. I was still shaken, still trying to make sense of the night. "I called you," I said quietly. "Last night, You didn't answer. She looked up from her mug and blinked. What do you mean? We talked. You said everything was fine. I stared at her. No, we didn't. She smiled, but something in her eyes flickered with confusion. You definitely called, I remember. You told me not to worry. I couldn't speak. My mouth was dry, my heart pounding, and from upstairs, a floorboard creaked.